Deion Sanders is ashamed of the 31 NFL teams that did not draft a player from a historically black college or university. The all-time great football player expressed his contempt via social media, tweeting, "So proud of you, Isaiah Bowden. You deserve to be drafted much higher, but I'm truly proud of you. I know how much you want this. I'm ashamed of the 31 other NFL teams that couldn't find draft value in all, ALL capitalized, of the talented HBCU players, and we had 3 more draft-worthy players at JSU." So that's Deion Sanders whining about Isaiah Bowden on probably one of the happiest days of Isaiah Bowden's life. He gets drafted into the NFL. The guy rode the bench at Florida State, came to Jackson State, started 11 games, and gets drafted in the National Football League. Guy has a very brief resume in the college, but managed to get drafted. He's long, he's 6'3", runs fast. He got drafted, but he's got a limited resume. He's got 11 starts in the HBCU. Rode the bench at Florida State before that. It's a great day for him. But Deion, of course, is there to make him a victim, and he should have gotten drafted higher. The New England Patriots selected Isaiah Bowden, a cornerback, in the 7th round of this weekend's draft. He was the lone player picked from an HBCU. Sanders coached at Jackson State for 2 years before bolting to Colorado this offseason. In recent years, corporate sports media has run with the narrative that NFL teams are unfairly avoiding selecting HBCU players, insinuating that racial bias is at the root of franchises choosing players from predominantly white schools. Let's think about that for a moment. Doesn't that raise a question in your mind? An obvious question, perhaps. What's at the root of Sanders choosing a white university over Jackson State? Let's marinate on that. Is Deion Sanders racist? Is he ashamed of himself? I need a little thought bubble popping out of my head right now. I'm trying to figure out, is Deion racist? Is he ashamed of himself? He went from Jackson State to a white university. Imagine that. I'm ashamed of the unapologetic shallowness and cowardice of jocks, ex-jocks, and jock sniffers. American sports had long been a safe space for masculinity. Now, they're a haven for victimhood and illogical whining. Real men in sports now live in the closet. Afraid of the social media and financial backlash for speaking the truth, men avoid spewing common sense the way my father's generation evaded wannabe women holstering a bat and balls. Can American men's sports remain popular when the participants are this dislikable? This devoid of morality, courage, and honesty, this filled with feminine energy and racial idolatry. Hey, Deion, and everybody else out there, the first 10 picks of the draft were black players. 3 of the first 4 picks were black quarterbacks. An hour into the draft, my mother, who watches all sports, she's a bigger sports fan than I am, she texted me. These are her exact words. It has been a black show so far. That's all she texted me. She wasn't just referring to the first 10 selections. The draft looked like the BET Image Awards. Loud, flamboyant suits, gaudy jewelry layered around necks, wrists, and ears. Baby mamas celebrating their mail lottery tickets cashing in. Overweight women in ill-fitting dresses. Enough hair weave to draw the ire of PETA. The NFL draft might as well have been the Met Gala or a Paris fashion show. It's been stripped of all masculinity and authenticity. Next year, Mel Kiper will be asked to wear his hair in a bun. I turned it off after an hour. Over the weekend, I checked Twitter every couple of hours to find out who the Chiefs picked and to see if anyone drafted Warren Central High School product Julius Brents and Ball State corner Nick Jones. To my pleasant surprise, my hometown Colts nabbed Brents in round 2, and my favorite team, the Chiefs, took Jones in the 7th round. I used to absolutely love the NFL draft. Now I can't stomach watching it. It's just another event in the Racial Victimhood Olympics. Deion Sanders took the gold medal this year. The super wealthy black man who abandoned HBCUs after 2 years can't understand why the NFL shops for talent outside the Chitlin circuit. Really? The NFL used to routinely draft players from black colleges before all the best black players started attending white schools. In 1968, according to Wikipedia, the NFL selected 11 players from Jackson State. In 1975, 5 Tigers were selected, including running back Walter Payton, yes, that Walter Payton, Sweetness, and linebacker Robert Brazile. Payton and Brazile both are in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Here's another little oddity. Payton's running back mate, I think his last name was Young, Ricky Young, I think was his name. He got drafted too and played 9 years in the NFL. This is all off the same 1975 team. So let me put another thought bubble into the air. Let me ask Deion Sanders and all the other racial idolaters. Is the 2023 NFL more racist than the 1975 NFL? Take a moment. Take a moment and think about that. Is the 2023 NFL draft more racist than the 1975? Have we actually gone backwards? All the highest paid players in the NFL are virtually all black. All the top paid quarterbacks, all black. First 10 picks in this year's draft, all black. But oh my God, only one player from an HBCU got drafted. That's racism. They've been singing this song for about the last 5 years. I mean, again, when there is no racism to really address, these guys go make it up. And so now, it's not just black players they want drafted. Now it's like, well, what school are they getting drafted from? What neighborhood are they coming from? What cell phone carrier do they use? Is that a black cell phone carrier? Then it's, the next complaint will be, and this will probably happen. None of the black players drafted are dating black women. The NFL must address that. How come that is? I can't wait for that to be a story. The best black players by choice go to Alabama, Michigan, Georgia, LSU, etc. They go to predominantly white universities. Let me stress this again. By choice. That's an us decision. We used to go to HBCUs. But because the white man's ice is always colder, we now go to predominantly white universities by choice. It's the exact same thing Deion Sanders does and did. As a player, Deion chose Florida State. As a coach, he chose Colorado. Deion wants 31 NFL teams to make a choice and or a sacrifice he was unwilling to make. That's a cowardly mindset. It's the mindset of the modern elite athlete or coach. They avoid sacrifice and criticism by any means necessary. Not one NFL owner, executive, scout, or coach will call out Sanders' hypocritical nonsense. They're afraid. They know the race-baiting pundits at ESPN and Fox Sports would chastise them. Men lack balls and conviction. Excluding anti-vaxxer Kyrie Irving, there are virtually no modern versions of Jackie Robinson and Muhammad Ali. Robinson sacrificed so that the next generation of black athletes could benefit. Ali sacrificed 3 years of his boxing prime because of his anti-war beliefs. You know what modern athletes do? at all costs. They protect their brands above everything. On topics they know little about, they regurgitate talking points handed to them by their brand managers. They remain silent on the relevant and controversial issues impacting the sports world. Let me give you one example. Deion said, oh, the NFL draft, they didn't take HBCU players. I'm ashamed. The NFL took a gang of black dudes, made a gang of baby mamas happy and daddies happy, made a bunch of black kids happy. That's what the NFL did, and that's what they've been doing for years, for decades. We don't need Deion's opinion on that. We don't need any of these athletes' opinion on that. How about offering an opinion about WNBA martyr, Brittney Griner? She wants biological men to compete against women. Deion Sanders is a former elite athlete. He's now a head coach at a Power 5 university. He's an expert on male athletes. He should have an opinion about whether men should be competing against women. Go check his Twitter feed to see if he's ashamed of Brittney Griner, the WNBA, and all the other people groveling and begging for the WNBA and women's sports to be overrun by men pretending to be women. Women with bats and balls that want to play against real women. Is Deion ashamed of that? Is he willing to put his name out there and take on real risk and piss off sponsors, piss off the Biden administration, piss off all the leftists, piss off anybody with a common sense stance of like, Brittney Griner is nuts. And anybody that supports this is nuts. Won't say that. I've just moved to a place where the stupidity of athletes drives me crazy. I'm ashamed of them. I'm ashamed I used to be one of them. I say that in all seriousness. These guys have daughters. They've played sports at a high level. They should have an opinion on this. They should be the men drawing a line in the sand and saying, no dice, this is crazy. But they say nothing. I want to play this clip of Bill Rhoden, William C. Rhoden. The C stands for cuck. I want to play this clip of him asking Brittney Griner about men playing women's sports. Play the clip.
Good morning, Brittney. I'm Bill Rhoden from ESPN and Skate, and it's really great to see you. It's good to know the prayers have been answered. The question, you've always represented so much throughout your entire career about access and being able to do stuff. And I hate to put one more thing on your plate, but there are a number of states who are aggressively moving to prevent transgender athletes playing. And I was wondering, again, I hate to put one more thing on your plate, but in terms of on your radar, where is that? You're going to have a tremendous platform, but where is that going to be on your radar in terms of
advocating for? Can we hit pause before she speaks?
Athletes, all athletes, transgender athletes, be able to play.
Okay, let's hit pause right now. I've known Bill Rhoden throughout my entire journalistic career. At one point, I looked up to Bill Rhoden. I really did. I had a tremendous amount of respect. When I ran The Undefeated, I commissioned an article celebrating Bill Rhoden's career at the New York Times and just as a pioneer as a black journalist. Bill Rhoden was never the most talented columnist in the world, but he played an important role. He was a pioneer. He was a role model. He pretended as if he were interested in promoting opportunity for other minority sports writers. He pretended as if he had some level of masculinity and sanity. Did you just listen to this man grovel at the feet of this woman? whose contribution to society is playing basketball? Now, if he were groveling at Michael Jordan's feet, I would be critical. I mean, at least Michael played at a high level. This man is groveling. This woman broke the law in Russia, made this country cough up the merchant of death, an arms dealer that they called the merchant of death. We had to trade the merchant of death for a basketball player. We had to spring a terrorist from prison to recover a basketball player because she's that irresponsible and stupid. And Bill Rhoden, a 73-year-old grown man, standing, talking in front of a 31, 32-year-old irresponsible woman. Brittney, I hate to put one more thing on your plate, baby girl, but oh God, thank you and just praise God for bringing you home. Brittney, oh God, you're just so important. I hate to put something else on your plate, but would you mind if I came over and scissored with you and your wife? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean scissor. I mean, should men with bats and balls play women's sports? I hate to put that on your plate, and I know you don't like bats and balls, you like scissoring, but should they be allowed to play with you guys and shower with you guys? Maybe you'll see a bat and ball and you'll fall back in love with one, Brittney. 73. This is a fully grown man groveling at the feet of a 6'8", irresponsible, weed-smoking jock. I don't dislike Brittney, but she don't represent nothing important. And all this fake, let's bring home Paul Whelan and our prisoners abroad. No one cares what Brittney Griner has to say. It's all a gimmick. She's been platformed, and they're trying to make her into an idol to promote the LGBTQIA+ silent P agenda. And Bill Rhoden is groveling at her feet. This woman's promoting transgenderism, the mutilation of kids, the gender dysphoria of young adults. Talking about it's a crime that, that people are made uncomfortable anywhere, or people aren't made to feel welcome anywhere. It's a crime. This is crazy. This is nonsense. And Bill Rhoden's co-signing it. When I say I'm embarrassed and I'm ashamed, what has become of us? Do we not stand for anything? I mean, seriously, anything? We, and I'm talking about black men in particular. I'm sorry I got to do it and call it out, but what's our line in the sand? What do we stand for? It's only, what gets us mad and what we stand, if a criminal resists arrest and puts a cop in a position where he has no choice but to get super aggressive with him, that's our line in the sand, standing up for career criminals that resist arrest. Nothing else. Everything else, transgenders, we're not protecting women, girls, our daughters, children. They want to put drag queens in school. That's not our line in the sand. I mean, what do we stand for? I'm talking about as athletes, as men, as allegedly masculine men. Some dude gets drafted in the NFL by the New England Patriots, one of the greatest franchises in the history, and he's a victim. Should have been drafted earlier. He's the only one that got drafted from an HBCU. That's a crime. That's wrong. I'm ashamed of the NFL. But I'm sure gonna take this check from this white university and get the hell up out of Jackson State as soon as I can. This is madness. This is insanity. And people can get mad at me, oh, you're critical of the black athletes, blah, blah, blah. You're damn right I am. We don't stand for nothing. We co-sign any and everything the left tells us to. Anything any of these power-hungry, feminist gone mad black women tell us to do, they say jump, we say how high. Brittney Griner wouldn't spit on Bill Rhoden. But here he is groveling at her feet. I don't want to put one more thing on your plate, Brittney. You got so much on your plate. Such an important basketball player. Oh, Brittney, please tell me, what should we do with these men who think they're women? Shouldn't they just be allowed to play? I look at a lot of this stuff and I don't know. I don't know. I don't. What's the matter with us? Please, I want you in the chat right now or on Apple, wherever you. Could you give me an explanation? My explanation is we've been so divorced from God that we've lost our minds and we've lost common sense and sanity. And it's all about how can I stay on the teat of the government and the charity of some liberal white man. We don't want to depend on God and we don't want to depend on ourselves. And so if the Democrat Party tells us, or because I don't even want to lump like Republicans in like they're on the right side of this. Because I've been making the argument, trying to explain to y'all, they're not on the right side of it. They're going to bend over to the alphabet mafia too. They're already in the process of it. They'll bend over for anything to maintain power. All men should be out in the streets. All men should be raising their voices loudly. We're not doing this transgender thing. These people need mental help. We don't need to normalize their dysphoria. We need to help them out of it. And it's not by cutting off their batten balls and breasts. And it's not by running around and pretending like Brittney Griner is Medgar Evers or Martin Luther King or Muhammad Ali or Jackie Robinson. She's a big dumb jock who got locked up in Russia because she tried to smuggle a little weed or hash into a foreign country. That's what dummies do. Not a victim, she's a dummy. And she cost America the merchant of death. A terrorist arms dealer for a basketball player. And Bill Rhoden's dropping to her knees, kissing her rear end like he's talking to Rosa Parks or Harriet Tubman or somebody that made a real sacrifice. We've gone crazy.